Hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, I know we started accidentally a few minutes early, so we will get going in just a little bit. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to officially join, even though a few of you got a sneak peek behind the scenes. For the rest of you, we will get going in just a few minutes because I know we had a lot of people who were very excited for tonight's program, and I don't want to miss them. At any point in tonight, if you want to join in the conversation, if you have questions about the recipe and what you're seeing, feel free to put that in the Q&A section in Zoom, and we will try to get to them as many as possible. And then let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra, and welcome to the Hudson Library's virtual cooking series. Before I introduce tonight's lovely guest, I just want to let you know we do have a couple exciting upcoming cooking programs. On Saturday, November 19th at 11 a.m., we have a holiday baking tips from award-winning author Rose Levy Burnham, author of the Cookie Bible. So she's going to be answering all of your holiday cooking questions, how to make sure everything comes out perfect just in time for the season. So she'll be answering all of that on Saturday, November 19th, and I will put the link to register in the chat. We have so many exciting upcoming virtual programs. I encourage you all to check out the Hudson Library's website, see what we have going on. All right. And on to tonight's speaker. Tonight we're doing a virtual cooking demo of Northern Indian cuisine with Neelam Bhatia, a Hudson resident of over 40 years. She is a busy grandmother who loves spending time in the kitchen feeding family and friends. She enjoys volunteering for education-based organizations that empower girls and women. She is a retired teacher, and she loves to combine her two passions in teaching and sharing cooking tips with others. She also runs cooking classes. You can I'll put her contact information there, and she is available in the spring, I believe you said.
Yes. Starting
All
April
right.
1st. No fooling. April Fool's Day. Yes.
Not April Fools. All right. Well, welcome so much, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Alex. Namaste, everyone. Welcome all. I'm Neelam, and I'm thrilled to have a chance to share a couple of my very favorite, easy, and tasty recipes with you. I grew up in the northern part of India in a typical Punjabi household with a lot of food and a mom who just absolutely loved to cook. And she made all the food with a little bit of help from the maid who did some of the prep work. My mom undoubtedly was the best cook in town, and so was my mother-in-law in her town. So these two wonderful ladies are the ones who inspired me and are responsible for my passion for cooking and eating. So the foods that I grew up with, these were very simple recipes, staple, basic Northern Indian food, and I've selected two to share with you: chole, chickpea curry, and just plain jeera rice, cumin rice, basmati rice, which is what I always use. Let's start with the chole, garbanzo beans. The recipe that you're looking at, I have exactly half of those quantities because I'm only making 1 can of chickpeas. Now, I make them two different ways, canned chickpeas, but I also make them from scratch. Chickpeas, chole, this is usually made for special occasions. And of course, in India, these are made from scratch, and I do that too. So if I make them from scratch, I buy the dry chickpeas from the Indian grocery store, and this is kind of what they look like. And then they have to be rinsed and soaked for 8 to 10 hours. And I usually do that late at night, and then in the morning, next day, they are ready to be cooked. You can either cook them in Instapot. I use a pressure cooker, so I cook them for about 15, 16 minutes. And then after that, the recipe is the same. So I start with diced onion. You can use yellow or Spanish red onion. And it's, I don't know if you can see, but the onion is diced like this. And for 1 can of chickpeas, I usually use an onion that's about this size, like a small medium. If you're using 2 cans, do use a large onion. Fresh ginger and garlic. And I just started just before, while Alex was introducing me. So the onion is already in there in the oil. And I'm going to add ginger and garlic. Turn the heat up to medium high. So I just stirred ginger. So right now there's onion, ginger, and garlic being cooked. And I will go ahead and cover it. And I'm going to get my spices ready, because as soon as the onion is ready, I will add tomato to it and then add my dry spices. Now, if you plan on doing a lot of Indian cooking, I would suggest you perhaps get a spice box. This is something that you'll see in every household in India and in the US with Indian chefs. What I typically do is I keep my spices in little jars like this, keep them in a drawer in the kitchen. The bulk of these spices stay in a refrigerator. So as I run out of the spice box, I just open a jar and fill these in. So we'll start with, I like to use a little bowl to put all my dry spices in. So when I'm ready to add them, I just sprinkle them on the mixture. So I'm going to start with salt. I have garam masala and chaat masala. The garam masala I make at home. This is a mixture of 7 spices, and I'm hoping in one of the future classes I can share the recipe with you and tell you my secret ingredients in the garam masala. And I do add a little extra black pepper, so I don't need to add any more pepper, cayenne pepper, or anything like that. So this is about all I'm going to add. Now, when my mom cooked this in India, nobody uses paprika over there, but I do like to use it. Let me just stir. I'm waiting for this onion mixture to get a little brown. So I'm going to use paprika as well. I like the color, gives it a rich color if I use that. Okay, and you can use any brand. It's not smoked paprika, it's just regular paprika.
We have a quick question here, actually, too, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Someone, they love the spice jar and they want to know where to find one.
So I'm sorry,
they love your spice jar and they wanted to know where to find
it. Well, I actually bought mine in India and brought it back. I have 2 or 3 of these. I have seen them in Indian grocery stores and I've seen them online. I'm personally looking for a plastic one. This is very traditional, masala box, masala dabba, or spice box. But yes, the Indian grocery stores in your area should have one as well. And I think Amazon has them.
And we have one more if you have time. Sandy would like to know where you purchase your spices.
I'm in Northeast Ohio, and there are 3 grocery stores. I do have my favorite, but I'm not going to tell you which one. I like them all 3 of them. So I go to all 3 and I get the spices from there. Now, ginger powder, garlic powder, paprika, black pepper, some of those things, I just pick them at the regular grocery store, either Acme or Heinen's, wherever I find them. I don't have any specific brand. They all are pretty decent. But the Indian spices, I just go to the Indian store. They have all 3 of the ones that are, I think, on the list online. They all have a really good inventory. Just don't buy a big package. Just start with a smaller package and see how you like it before you invest in a 1 pound or 2 pound package of turmeric or any other kind. If you're buying something like chaat masala, chana masala, meat masala, vegetable, just make sure you don't get something that has turmeric as the first or second ingredient. A lot of these are very kind of yellowish in color. They shouldn't be. If you want turmeric, just use turmeric. Don't buy something that already has turmeric in it. Okay, so this is turning, it's a little bit light brown. So I'm going to go ahead and add crushed tomatoes. It's okay to use fresh tomatoes as well, but the curry part, and curry to me is the gravy, the watery part, that's what I call curry. That is better, richer if you use crushed canned tomatoes. Tomato paste is also okay to use. So if I don't have canned tomatoes, I go ahead and I would use maybe a teaspoon or so of tomato paste. And now the spices, I'm going to just sprinkle them. You notice I did not use turmeric in this. The Northern Indian chole recipe should not look yellow. It's supposed to look kind of brownish. But that's one of the recipes where I do not use turmeric. I use it in pretty much everything else. Now, if the mixture gets a little thick, you can add a few drops of water and let these dry spices cook with the onion, garlic, and oh, it's heavenly. I wish you guys were here in my kitchen. It smells wonderful. It really does. So I'm going to let it cook for just about a minute. And these are the canned chickpeas or garbanzo beans. They have been rinsed, they have been drained. And the easiest way to do this is to use, I just use a strainer like this. I dump the can of chickpeas, to the sink, and I do the same thing with the rice. When I make the rice, that's how I rinse the rice as well. So these kind of strainers work really well. Okay, I think this is ready. We'll add 1 cup of garbanzo beans. Make sure they're coated very nicely. They should be, if you can see these. So you have the onion, tomato, ginger, garlic mixture. And now the water. See how easy it is? Onion, ginger, garlic, tomato, spices, water. And stir, stir, stir. Cover. Bring to a boil. So I'll turn it up to high. There we go. Okay, while the chickpeas are cooking, and I'll go ahead and put a timer for 20 minutes for these, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. I'm right here, I'm using my microwave to start the timer. There we go. Okay, so for 15 minutes, yes.
Sorry, I have 2 quick questions. Someone would like to know, do you take the time to remove the skins from the chickpeas?
No, I don't. And I don't even do it for hummus. I'm lazy. I like to do easy stuff, quick stuff. That's too much work. No, I don't. Now, when I boil them, when I make them from scratch, let me see, I have some in the refrigerator, which I boiled just this morning. We have Diwali coming up. It's just a big, big, huge festival, celebrated all over India. So this weekend and next weekend, there are a lot of Diwali celebrations and parties with family and friends. So I am making the chickpeas from scratch. And let me see if the ones that I made from scratch, I think the skins do come off a little bit when you cook them, pressure cook them or put them in the Instant Pot.
Thank you. If you guys have any questions as we're going on, feel free to put them in Q&A.
Let me see. This is what they look like. These are the ones from scratch and they're boiled. Yeah, a little bit, not too much though. No, the skin's almost, yeah. They do, I have to admit, they do taste better. Anything tastes better if you make it from scratch, right? So these do too, but the canned ones come pretty close and you can't beat the convenience. And in our family, 6 o'clock, somebody will yell, oh, can I have chole? Well, there's no way for me to make them from scratch in 10 minutes. So I do rely a lot on the cans, but when I plan something, a special get together, I make them this way. So to answer your question about the skins, even with the other kind, the skins really did not come off.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start the rice. So first, I'm heating this oil and I'm going to add cumin seed to it, whole cumin seed, not ground. And by the way, the recipe doesn't say that, but sometimes I do add a little dab of butter. You know, everything tastes better with butter. So yeah, so I do that. And once the cumin seed starts sizzling, I'll go ahead and add the bay leaf and the cardamom. Um, there are two types of cardamom that I use. This is the one, oops, the red one, the red cardamom, the big fat red cardamom. You can either crush it or just put it whole. I'm just going to put it whole with the rice. The other one is, I don't use it for cooking. I use it for flavor in desserts and in tea. So this is the small green one. So you can see that it's the tiny green and then the big red one. Okay. I think the oil is hot enough, so we can add whole cumin seed. And it should, I don't know if you can hear it, but it should sizzle. Yeah, I hear the sizzling. So just slightly brown these, and then there's one bay leaf and one cardamom. This does not need to cook for long. The oil is hot, so the bay leaf and the cardamom are actually, they're ready. So we can go ahead and add the rice. Now, for this recipe, when I soak the rice, I actually have measured water in there. This is 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, and I'm going to just put it in here. For some other rice recipes, I drain the rice, I cook the rice a little bit in the oil mixture and the spices and the onion, and then I add the water. But this is the easy one. So this is, everything goes in here. And this is basmati rice. I do not use long grain or jasmine or sticky or any other kind of rice, or Uncle Ben's. This is just old-fashioned traditional basmati rice from India. Sometimes it comes from Pakistan. India and Pakistan, we have lots in common as far as our cuisine and spices and food and ingredients and whatnot. So we'll just stir it gently. A little bit of oil. I'm sorry, salt, not oil. Oil was already in there. Cover and bring it to a boil. After it boils, I will set the timer for about 15 minutes for the rice.
Sounds good. Do you have a time for a few questions we have coming in?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm
All
just
right.
yeah.
We have a lot of people who are very curious. Lee would like to know, does it make any difference what type of pot you use for this?
For 1 cup of, actually for up to 2 cups of rice, I actually almost always use a saucepan like this. But I just thought, because we're filming, it might be easy for people to see, you know, the rice once it's done, to actually get a better view if it's in a more open fry pan. But I use non-stick. I have stopped using stainless steel because I feel that I was using a little more oil or butter if I was using stainless steel. So somehow I like non-stick pots and pans better. So that's what I use.
Sounds good. And she would also like to know, do you soak when you cook the beans from dry? Do you soak overnight? Do you
Yeah.
salt at any point? Because she's gotten
No.
some bad advice in the past.
No, there are people who just go ahead and put not just salt, but some other spices as well. When I soak the chickpeas overnight, they're only soaked in water, nothing else. I add the salt when I'm making the, you know, the onion garlic mixture. That's when I add salt. I'll tell you why I don't put salt ahead of time, because I did that once and I forgot there was already salt in there. Then I added salt again. And you can just imagine it was nothing but salt, you know, every time. It's just easier if I just do the salt along with the other spices. but a lot of people like to put salt. I don't know if it does anything as far as making them softer or taste different. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Sounds good.
Now, I don't know if anyone asked, there are people who use the canned chickpeas, the water in the can as well. I do not. I drain the chickpeas if I'm using can. I don't use that water, at least not when I'm cooking them.
That's good to know. Do you prefer to use a dry bay leaf or a fresh one for this recipe?
Dry. I do not have a green thumb. Anything green in my house other than cilantro turns brown very quickly. So I've accepted that, and it's just easier with bay leaf, with dry, yeah. So most of my herbs and things, other than cilantro, I use the dry ones. I haven't noticed any change in taste. Some people might, I have not. Okay, now the rice is boiling. You can see how bubbly it is. And basmati rice is very picky, does not like to be disturbed a lot. So please don't keep on opening the lid, stirring, opening. I've seen people do that, drives me crazy. Very gently, you want to stir it because this is the first boil. Cover it and turn it down and put the timer on and just let it be. So 15 minutes for the rice, and we have about 6 minutes left for the chole. So I'm going to go ahead and just stir it one time and just let them cook. So you gotta respect your food, right? Don't keep disturbing them. So they're both cooking. We'll leave them alone, and I can just chat with you in the meantime if you have any questions.
We have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Someone would like to know just how spicy the dish is as a whole from a scale of 1 to 5.
5 or a 6. I like, not just myself, I like for people to be able to taste the food, taste the different ingredients, not just the hot peppers. So the food that I cook is mild to medium spice, not extremely spicy, not like call 911, my tongue's on fire. No, that's no good.
Sounds good. Someone also would like to know about the rice. Where can they purchase that? Would you recommend it at a
Do not purchase it at the grocery store, like the regular supermarket grocery stores, because it's extremely expensive. You can go to the Indian grocery store, get the big bag. They're usually, I don't know, 15, 16 pounds. I suggest if you have a couple of friends, if you can buy that and just split it with a few people, that is the best, most economical way to do it. Costco has Indian basmati rice as well. They have one brand, I think it's the Royal brand. The Indian grocery stores have Tilda, Tilda. It's a very pretty blue bag. Tilda basmati, there's Royal, there's Elephant brand, all the different ones. So I just get different kinds. I used to get Tilda, then I switched to Royal, and I think the last one I got is also Royal. So you should try the ethnic grocery stores always have the best prices and often the freshest ingredients as well.
Sounds good. We have a couple questions. I'm trying to group them all together about the spices you use. So Karen would like to know, do you use cumin powder instead of seeds?
Not in rice, but in some other curries that I make. I eat mostly vegetarian food, so the vegetable curries or some other sauces, I do use ground cumin. I actually prefer roasted ground cumin to just plain old ground cumin. So what I do is, this is what the roasted one looks like. It's kind of dark brown. So what I take whole cumin seed, a small non-stick pan, no oil, just dry roasted gently. And once it gets browner, let it cool, and then you grind it in a spice grinder. I have a coffee grinder. I use it as a spice grinder. So I actually like to use the roasted cumin powder. You can use ground cumin powder when you are making your own garam masala, although it's kind of fun to start with whole spices and then, grind them. So yes, you certainly you can use that. I use it. I actually never have that. I only have roasted cumin. I don't have just regular ground. I like the whole seed.
Do you have someone asked in the beginning, you had went over what spices you have in your spice rack, but is there any ones you can't be without, or like your like go-to must-have essential ones?
Turmeric and garam masala, those two are the must. If I run out of those, then it's not good. I'm not a happy person. Yeah. Because those are the two I use the most. Of course, salt, we're all very careful about our salt intake. And I salt my foods very lightly. That's why when I write a recipe, I always say salt and pepper to taste. But there are some recipes you do have to have the proper amount of salt. Otherwise they just don't taste right. So salt, turmeric, garam masala. I do have cayenne pepper. I keep that, but I don't use it that much. I actually use paprika more than I use the hot pepper. My garam masala is hot enough for most of these recipes. And black pepper, I will add black pepper on some things, not salad or some other vegetables, if I'm serving something fresh. But really, turmeric and garam masala are the two that are my favorite to cook with.
Do you make your own garam masala?
Yes, I do. I do. And I would really very much like an opportunity to share that, actually make my own garam masala and show everyone how I make that, the quantities and everything. Now, uh, it's perfectly okay to buy. You can buy that in the Indian grocery store. These are these small boxes, and there are tons of brands. I'll go ahead and tell you which ones I don't like. I don't like anything that has turmeric in it. So please look at the ingredients. Buy something that has mostly coriander, cumin, cloves, those kind of spices, not turmeric. And by the way, if you have curry powder, I'm sure a lot of people have bought that. If you have that at home, use it up very quickly. And after today, don't use it. Just switch to garam masala. Curry powder is a concoction that is not a very authentic mixture of spices, especially the ones that are sold in stores. So after you use it, just get a little packet of garam masala from the Indian store and try to get something that's kind of brownish. It can be made in India or it can be made in Pakistan. They're equally good.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay,
you.
that was the timer for the chole. So let me just shut that off and I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
So that was exactly 15 minutes for the chole, and we still have 9 minutes to go for the rice. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the chole off. I'm not going to disturb them. They can cook for a couple more minutes while they are just sitting on the stove. And the last thing I will do just before serving, I have chopped cilantro. I wrote optional because I know there are folks who don't like the taste of fresh cilantro. So you can eliminate that step if you don't like it. If you like cilantro, you can even add it when you're cooking your onion, ginger, and garlic. You can add chopped cilantro to that as well. I did not do that today, but I do that sometimes. I will, however, use it to garnish. When the rice is ready, I usually serve rice on the side, and then there's chickpea curry on the side. I personally like a little bowl. I'll put rice, put the chickpea curry on top, garnish with the cilantro and guava. It's a really great comfort food, hearty meal, especially on a cold night like one we're having here in Northeast Ohio tonight.
Um, Jan would like to know if you'd like the dish to be hotter, could you add more garam masala?
Uh, you can, but it might be better to just add some cayenne pepper. Garam masala is usually, it tastes better if it's added while something is cooking. So if you add it at the end, you may not get the right taste. I usually don't do that. So if I want it hotter, I'll just go ahead and add maybe a pinch of cayenne pepper or black pepper. You can add that. But you can add the garam masala when you're cooking the onion and tomato mixture. You can add a little extra to that. Because mine, as I mentioned earlier, this is mild to medium spice. So for hot, certainly increase the quantity of the garam masala.
Sounds good. If you wanted to serve a dessert or a dish with this, what would you make with this meal?
Indian desserts are rather tricky. Most of the time, I end up just buying them from the store. There are one or two I can make at home. In the summer, I like to make a mango souffle or mango ice cream, something, a mango-based dessert. Um, Rice pudding is good. Rice pudding is, any recipe for that. You can use that, add a little saffron, maybe a touch of cardamom, and it gives it a very Indian look and Indian flavor. Those are good. Or even just cut up fresh fruit, put in a little bit of mango. You can get a can of mango pulp from the Indian store and take a couple of spoons of that. I have served vanilla ice cream with a little mango on top. That goes well, but I'm not good at making desserts. I'm really good at eating them. So I do just get them from the stores. I have also served brownies. Those are one of my favorite desserts. So those go good. Surprisingly, they go good with Indian cuisine as well. Rich chocolatey brownies with lots of nuts. You gotta have nuts in those, and maybe even a couple of teaspoons of orange marmalade. So those go good with Indian food as well.
Um, I don't know if this question might be a little bit longer or not. But Elizabeth would like to know, what type of traditional dishes would you serve for Diwali?
For Diwali, well, chole, of course. I would also make gobi aloo, which is cauliflower and potatoes. I make my own paneer, which is homemade cheese. So something with paneer, either saag paneer, palak paneer. Palak is spinach, so spinach paneer, matar paneer. Uh, I like dahi bade. These are little dumplings in yogurt. I make the dumplings, and then of course I make my own yogurt, homemade yogurt. A couple of chutneys, mint chutney, cilantro chutney, tamarind chutney. So it's time to feast. It's a combination of Christmas and Thanksgiving. So lots and lots of food. And then anything else that catches my fancy. But keep in mind, these are all very traditional foods. I really don't do a lot of fusion type cooking or anything exotic. I just stick with recipes that are hundreds of years old. And these are simple foods. They're easy to make, and they're tasty, and the whole family enjoys them, and our friends enjoy them as well. I make good parathas, and these are chapatis and parathas. So it's all very northern Indian kind of cooking. Although there are dishes from other regions of India that are just as good, I just don't know how to make them. Well, I can. So when we go out to eat, I might order something from the southern part of India, and there are some delicious recipes. I hope to learn those someday and share those with you as well.
We have people in the Q&A that wanted to have you come back for an example on your chutney, because it sounds great.
That would be fun. We could do an evening of chutneys and chaat, and do some street foods and some snack food. This is, of course, this would be a meal, but it would be fun to do some kind of, like snacks and appetizers as well. I'd be happy to do that if the library will, yeah. But after March, so starting April 1st. I have a couple of openings. I'm doing some things now. I have two or three between now and the end of the year, but then after that, spring is just a very busy time. So April, May, June, if you're in Hudson, Stowe, around here somewhere,
And
I'd be happy to do more lessons.
I just put the link for your email. So if you're interested in signing up for a private lesson, all of that's in the chat. So feel free if you'd like more. Once again, in this room.
And if we don't get to your questions, to all of them, feel free to email me and I'll do my best to answer you as quickly as I can. We do have a very busy week with all the celebration going on, but I'll absolutely get back to you if I don't get a chance to answer your question tonight.
Sounds good.
2 more minutes and the rice will be ready, and I'm looking at it. And basmati rice, the aroma, you just can't beat that. It absolutely, it's just so welcoming, so comforting.
We have someone who'd like to know, you had mentioned when you go out to eat, you'll order maybe some Southern Indian food. Do you have any favorite Indian restaurants in our area, Akron, Cleveland?
No, I do not. You know why? They're all okay. They're not consistent. So I don't have a favorite, but I'll tell you some of the things that I might order that are not from the northern part of India. Dosa, D-O-S-A, it's a southern Indian dish. It's a rice scrape filled with spicy potatoes and it's served with sambar. It is to die for. It's really, really good. Do try the Indian restaurants. They are, the buffets used to be actually good. Now because of COVID and stuff, no one has that anymore. I used to like those because you could go and try different things. Now you have to order from the menu, and if you order something and you don't like it, you're stuck with that dish. I'm not putting Indian restaurants down, but so much has happened lately, and a lot has changed. There's one in Hudson. I've been there. They have some things that are really good. Jaipur Junction. There's Chula on Chagrin Boulevard in Beechwood. That's kind of like an Indian Chipotle. Saffron Patch in the Valley. I have eaten at all of these. Saffron Patch in Beechwood. There's two of them. They're both quite good. So you feel free to try them. And the naans are always excellent. And if you like chicken, tandoori chicken, those are good in all of these places. Samosas as an appetizer. Try a dish with paneer in it. They all do a pretty decent job. I just like to think my cooking is the best. What can I say? I'm such a modest person. I like my own home cooked food. I tell you, when I was working, I would often take leftovers for lunch and I would take a bite and go, oh, so good. And somebody would always say, oh, where'd you get it? Who made it? I'm like, I made it. It's my own recipe. Like, oh, so you're complimenting your own cooking? I'm like, why not? What's wrong with that? If it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter who made it. So yeah, I'm a little biased. I kind of enjoy cooking and eating, and I like the foods that I make.
We have some people in the Q&A that agree with you that they also like the taste of their own cooking the best.
See, and people, I don't know, we shouldn't be afraid to say that, right?
No.
No, but it's fun to eat out, of course. I love Mexican and Chinese and Italian as well, and I make a pretty mean lasagna and I make a pretty good pizza, but I don't know if it's good enough to share, in a class. I'm more comfortable with this. Okay, our rice is ready and chole are ready. They're both ready. So this is what the rice looks like. I'm gonna grab a fork. And the one thing I would recommend you do is to take out the bay leaf. The flavor is good, but nobody likes to bite on one of these when they're eating their rice. So I'm going to take the bay leaf and the cardamom. And the reason I don't crush it, because crushing it would perhaps give it extra flavor. Little seeds go all over, and a lot of times, kids don't, when they're eating rice and they get the seed in their stuck in their teeth. No one likes that. So that's why I use the whole cardamom. Cumin is fine. You can probably see these little brown, the cumin on top. And I let it sit for a couple minutes, and I'm going to just fluff it with the fork just before serving. Don't just grab a serving spoon and just serve like that. Always fluff it up. Basmati rice looks better, tastes better if you just very gently give it a little fluff. Because this is not like sticky rice that we get with the Chinese food. It's different. And so it should not be sticky at all. It should kind of look like this. Separate grains, and it really does smell really good. And just bake it up. Now this is the very simple everyday rice, but if you would like to dress this one up, you can. If you're not allergic to nuts, you can put some cashew pieces on top just before serving. I don't if it's just for the family, but if I was making it for friends, then I would make it differently. Okay, so this is the rice is ready. And the chole, so this is what it is. So the curry is, it's kind of, there's enough, since we are eating it with rice, it should be a little bit on the watery side. Now, if you're eating it with pita bread or naan, you could make it a little thicker if you want. I kind of like, when I say curry, I mean this stuff, see the gravy. So it should be, there should be enough of that. And does anyone remember what we do as the last step? If we're not allergic, we garnish with cilantro. And a little secret, someone in my household likes sweet onion on top as well, chopped sweet onion as well. Another person likes to add chopped tomato, diced tomato, just before serving. So you could try that as well. I just simply like the cilantro. I hate to do this, it's dinner time and you're all hungry, but I'm gonna just taste it and do what they do on Cook's Country on PBS, right? They just act like they've died and gone to heaven. So let's see if I can duplicate that. It's going to be very hot. So I like mine like this. Rice, chickpeas on chole on top. And let me let it cool off a little bit. What can I say? I still got it. Very good.
So we have a few.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying someone was asking earlier about, if you wanted to make something hotter. So this would be the time I would take maybe a little bit of the kind and just add it in there. That one is okay to add at the end. I would not add garam masala or anything else. And salt, if you like a little extra salt, you can add it at this time as well.
Sounds good. You had said something about if we wanted to make it a thicker liquid, someone would like to know how they would go about that. Like a thicker curry.
Little less water and little extra tomato when you're cooking it. And you can let it cook even longer. So you can go longer than 20 minutes. And sometimes to thicken something, if I accidentally put extra water in any of my recipes, I just uncover, turn the heat up to high, and I let the water evaporate. And I just kind of stir. And, that's my old-fashioned way of thickening something. But you don't want to eliminate water or not put enough, because then it won't cook. It does need that moisture to cook, to steam. So perhaps the thing to do is to just let it cook a little bit longer and on higher heat, not just medium.
We have a lot of people who are very jealous they can't eat it right now.
Alex, we really hopefully next class we can do in person, so I can have little samples for folks to taste. I really feel bad. I'm looking at I'm looking at my dinner and going, I think I'll wait until after the class to eat because that would be mean wouldn't this be mean? Like, oh, mm, mm. I would never do that to you. No.
Um,
It tastes really, really, really good, if I may say so myself. Please make this tomorrow. Make it as soon as you can. Diwali is on Monday. You can make this on Monday, the 24th, and pretend you're celebrating Diwali with this meal. I'm going to get a sip of water. 1 second.
no problem.
Okay, I'm back.
So we have a few final questions before we wrap up. People want to know if you do delivery. Do you ever add lemon juice to this dish, or is that not something?
No, not to this dish, but try it. Feel free. You might like it, especially freshly squeezed lemon or lime is always good. I have not. I only use it in salads, but not in this dish. No.
Sounds good. Do you ever use brown basmati rice?
No, I've just stuck with white. I'm very old fashioned. I grew up eating white rice, so I guess for me it's always going to be white. I just like to see what white can do for me. I know what brown can do for me. I just want to know what white can do for me. Brown is healthier, absolutely. A lot of people I know have switched to it, but I just really like the look of the white rice. It reminds me of my childhood. I just feel it's such a comfort food for me.
I'm trying to think, if someone's new, let's say they've never cooked Indian food before, do you have any like basic helpful advice for a new beginner?
Don't be intimidated. It's actually very easy. A lot of recipe books have 10,000 steps and 100 pages for everything. Don't go there. You can watch a video, you can just look for something. If a recipe looks like it's 3 pages long, I wouldn't even bother. Stick with something simple, few ingredients, start with the basic foods. Don't go fancy or exotic, and you'll be just fine. So that's the main thing. And it's Indian cuisine is very misunderstood because of the way it's either been taught or written about. Everyone thinks that, oh my God, I gotta go and get all these things and I'll get stuck with these spices. I won't know what to do. No, it doesn't have to be. I mean, this is all I use pretty much every day. I have some other things, some specialty things I use for some other curries, but 90% of the time, this serves the purpose. So you get 3 or 4 things. Now I'm talking obviously Northern Indian cooking. If you were making something from another part of the country, you might need some other spices. But for this kind of cooking, look at my recipes. They're easy to follow. Just a few steps and you're done.
I am putting right now as we speak, and just for everyone in case you missed it the first time, the links to both recipes we made tonight, as well as your email address. So if you have questions or would like to book any classes in the spring, I will include that there as well. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this evening. This has been so excellent. People have so many questions for more for you to come back and demonstrate more recipes.
I would love to, and I just wanted to say namaste and thank you everyone for giving me this chance to share with you. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for spending your time with me. Could they hear
Thank
me?
you.
Can they hear me still?
They can still hear you.
Oh,
Yep.
they can still hear me. Okay.
You're so
Thank you.
good. Thank you so much,
Okay.
everyone, for joining us this evening. It's been a delight to have you all, and I can't wait. Hopefully we can be able to sample this sometime soon. Thank you guys again. Make sure to check out our website for more upcoming classes and programs, and I hope you all have a great evening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you again.